Comcast earnings came out a day after my full valuation from earlier this week. I'll tell you what I thought. Also, I'm going to update you on a position I took earlier this week that's already up over 6%. My name is Aaron. Welcome to the Stock Sale Flyer. None of this is financial advice. Let's get into the Comcast earnings. So Comcast didn't do well yesterday off earnings. I'll tell you what I think that the market was, in my opinion, overreacting to, but it rebounded nicely today. And I went through the earnings report and I kind of noted some things that I thought were worth mentioning. One of which was the wireless line increase year over year of about 1.2 million. In my video the other day, one of the things I said was an area for growth for this business was the Xfinity mobile business. And this is the MVNO business that's on Verizon's network. But if you're you have to be an Xfinity internet customer to have Xfinity mobile. And if you have Xfinity mobile, you're not always on Verizon's network because you're connecting to Xfinity internet hotspots that Comcast has in various areas. So they actually do a surprisingly large amount of the data usage through these hotspots and not through the Verizon network. So it's a really interesting product, and it's an area of the business that's really growing. And we saw that in that earnings report. I'm not just going to give you all of the positives. So yeah, domestic video customers were down quite a bit, almost 2 million year over year for first quarter of 23 to Q1 24. No, that's not a positive. But as we go through this, the things I mentioned in the valuation earlier this week, I think this really was just evidence of what I was talking about in that valuation, one of which is the growth in domestic wireless lines. Because what Comcast, I think, is doing is they're realizing they need to grow the parts of the business other than, traditional cable and even beyond the broadband internet piece. They've got to grow some of these other parts of the business. And I think that they're allocating capital in a way that's going to do that, which is why I am thinking that this is going to be a good play for the long haul, medium to long term. So in terms of revenues, domestic broadband was up slightly. There's some talk that maybe I've seen some talk that might be because of price increases mostly. But then you look domestic wireless revenue, right? 13.3% from Q1 2023 to Q1 2024 year over year. That's a great increase. International connectivity, 24.4% year over year. Domestic wireless revenue increased due to an increase in the number of customer lines. So they're growing that Xfinity mobile business that I talked about in my valuation earlier in the week. That's exactly what I'm looking for. As you continue, so total content and experiences revenue. One of the things I noted here is this is only up 1.1% year over year. And that's actually a bullish thing in my opinion, because they're about to open these theme parks, these new the new Epic universe in Orlando. They're going to open one in Texas. They're also working on opening the Donkey Kong Country part of Universal Studios Japan. That's supposed to open soon. And it says here, this is going to increase the current size of Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan by 70%. So they're investing in this part of the business, and they're just, in terms of the theme parks, that was only up 1.5% for year over year. Studios were down 7.2%, but they explained that was mostly due to, I can just give you what they said. Revenue for studios decreased due to lower content licensing revenue, primarily reflecting the timing of when content was made available by our film studios. So they're saying it's mostly a timing thing, which would also, to me, be bullish for the future if that's the case. So theme parks have a lot of room to grow. They're going to open these parks in the relatively near future, and that should lead to more revenue from theme parks and hopefully also less of a capital expenditure to theme parks, at least in terms of the development of them. So these are things that I think have a lot of room to grow in the business. And it would actually, to me, be less bullish if I looked at this and it was saying, you know, theme parks grew a ton year over year already, because I'm seeing the groundwork being laid for that to grow going forward, and it hasn't happened yet. So I think that's a good sign overall. Also, they noted that the Peacock streaming service did $1.1 billion in revenue. Okay, and that was compared to $685 million in revenue year over year, so in the prior year period. So the streaming business it did about 60.6% revenue growth year over year. The theme parks are laying the groundwork to really grow that part of the business. They're growing the wireless part of the business. There's lots of areas where the business is going to grow or is already growing. And so for that reason, you know, the short-term price action that we saw the day after earnings it's not something I'm worried about. I'm not here to make to make a double on this in a week. This is something that I think, as a longer term play, especially in a stock market right now, that you're creeping up on 200% of GDP for the total market. I'm looking for value in an overvalued market. To me, this is exactly what Comcast is. Again, not financial advice, but I stand by that valuation I did the other day because I see what I need to see from these numbers. They're looking to grow the business in exactly the areas that I talked about in my valuation. So what about the position that I took earlier this week that I mentioned? It's already up over 6%. That is wheat, W-E-A-T. And the reason why I took a position in this is because wheat futures, the price of wheat futures is quite suppressed right now. If you look at this as a commodity, I think, you know, this has the likelihood of moving back to the upside in a cyclical nature. You can see how cyclical wheat is on this chart. So this is like a medium term, short to medium term play for me. Basically, I'm looking to play the cyclical nature of the commodity market here. And you can see that wheat is quite down right now. And so, you know, I bought into this, and as I said, you know, 3 days later, I'm already up over 6%. So I'm feeling pretty good about this position. I think it has a ways to run. So I just wanted to get a video out talking about, you know, how I felt about the Comcast earnings, because I did do that full valuation the other day. If you didn't watch that valuation yet, I'm going to link it in the description. Please check that out, and let me know in the comments if there's any companies you'd like me to take a look at. I've got some ideas for some videos that'll be coming out in the near future, but I'm open to suggestions about companies you'd like me to take a look at. Follow me on X at Stock Sale Flyer, and thank you again for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you can get the notifications. Take care.